This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
You are now listening to the Life in Football podcast. Check out the new website, lifeinfootball.com. Once again, the website is lifeinfootball.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike Feed.
And this your co-host, Cole and Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
Top-notch coaches all around the world. Top-notch coaches all around the world. Today we got Coach Doug Chapman on, and he's a top-notch coach who's doing a great job right now for the Thunder and Herd, baby, Marshall. And he's the Senior Analyst and Director of Player Development. Now, he's a former player for the Herd as well, y'all. And now he's a coach back at his, where he done did his thing, and he was a top-notch baller, man. I'm talking about he was out there running that ball and doing some of everything when he was a player. Now he leading guys at the university to greatness, man. And it's so amazing to have not just a coach and a former player, but a champion on as well. He was a champion for the Thunder and Herd. They won the D1 AA championship, went undefeated. And that's something I always envy when I hear people say that, because I always want to be a part of an undefeated team. It's just something about it. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Simo bring him on.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. And I love the energy, man, and thanks for the introduction, brother.
Hey, he good at that, but hey, it's easy introducing a baller like yourself, though. Now, Coach, I want to just get right to it. With you balling like you did at Marshall, balling that hard, you already knew you was going pro. Now, while you was in the league, did you ever anticipate like what you was gonna do after football, or did you start finding your way as you was going? Like, when did you know, like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life and this direction I want to go with it after football?
Honestly, I feel blessed, to be where I am now. And then when I look back and I rewind as to how I got here, I could tell you when I was 17, 18, 19, of course I wanted to do something, and I wanted to go to the NFL. But then if you'd have asked me, say, okay, so what do you want to do when your career is over with? I probably wouldn't have had an answer, but I would have said, I want to do something with football, either collegiately or professionally. And so, I always knew I had a passion to always be near the game in some capacity. I'm just fortunate that, fast forwarding to where we are now in 2021, almost 2022, that the capacity that I'm in is this. But I've always, I've loved the sport since I was a kid, and I've always wanted to be close to it since I could remember. My family will tell you, and I was a little kid running around the house, 5 or 6, telling people I was going to the NFL. And so I've always loved the game. And like I said, I'm just blessed, man, to be able to be in the position that I am now, to still be close to it and be in the role that I am now.
Now, Coach, with you being at Marshall and you a living, walking legend at that school, like you could really probably go to the school and president and say, hey, I need this. And they going to do everything they can to get it for you, because you pretty much the man there. Like, do the players realize that and come talk to you and get all the knowledge? Because I would be in your office every day asking you how in the world you did. I want to do what you did or do better.
I got a great group of kids, man. I have 100 sons, man, 100 plus sons. That's the way I look at them. I love all those kids. And, when I came in the door day one, I let them know, I said, I don't want you to look at me and, ask me, how many shoes I have or how much money I had or who did I date when I was single or I said, don't ask me those type of questions. I said, I want you guys to come ask me the questions, the real questions about around this game. I said, because the football stuff and the flashy stuff is easy. And so I thought it was really unique the way I was able to bond with the guys, because at the end of the day, and you guys know how it is, young kids and are very impressionable. And when you can tell them, I'm from where you're from, I'm going through exactly what you're going through, and I've been where you're trying to get to, it brings some reality to them, and they can see themselves, they can see themselves in you, because they're like, man, okay, if he was sitting in this exact chair at one point and going through and going on the same field that I'm on, I can get to where he's going. So it makes their dreams more of a reality. And like I said, they took me in like a big brother. A lot of them weren't even born when I played there, and so that's been funny. Sometimes we have those conversations, and this generation of kids, they have so much access to social media. They can find out your whole story in 5 minutes, and so they're all my little brothers. They're all like my sons, man. I love them all, and they've come to me with football questions, with family questions, with relationship questions, financial questions. They've asked me everything, man, and I'm just blessed to be a resource for these guys.
Now, Coach, I want to know, how was it for you growing up in Chesterfield, Virginia, and who helped you to become the person that you are today?
Man, I was blessed, man. I had two great parents, man. They're my best friends on earth. My mother, I'm not ashamed to admit, I'm my mother's boy. I'm my mama's boy. That's my girl. That's my number one. And my father, was very, very influential in my life as well. My father and my uncles, they all played football growing up. And so I looked up to all of them, and those were my first role models. And then, we were able, I grew up in Southside Richmond, ended up finishing high school in Chesterfield County. And I can still remember my parents signed me up at a YMCA because I wanted to start lifting weights. And I was in the 7th grade. It was one summer. Me and my homeboy, we wanted to get bigger and faster, stronger. And so we go to the gym. And, I didn't really know my way around a weight room, and probably was too young to even be in there. And there was a guy in there who happened at the time. He was a fullback at University of North Carolina. His name was William Henderson, and he was from my hometown. We called him Boogie. And so we're in the gym, and this dude was, compared to us, he was massive back then. I mean, this dude looked like Hulk Hogan, like Hercules to us back then. And so I just looked at him and said, man, I want to be like you. I want to go play Division I football. I want to be on TV. I'm trying to be like you. And so I just kind of got in his back pocket and just really just emulated and did everything that he did. And to show you how the world works in a crazy way, he played about 12 years for the Green Bay Packers. And I played for the Vikings in the NFL. And so when I caught up to him and got to the NFL, we were playing against each other, and he was playing for the rival team. So that's how crazy life is, man. But Boogie Henderson was a really big influence on me. He was like a big brother to me. I still talk to him to this day. But like I said, my parents, they set the foundation, man. I'm just blessed that, they were able to do what they had to do and stay together and give me the opportunities they did, man. And they definitely play a huge role in everything I've done up to this point.
Coach, you was blessed with a great family, but you was also blessed with a great opportunity at Marshall University to have such an amazing career. 50 wins to 4 losses in college. And now you inducted to the Hall of Fame and as a Marshall Herd, Thundering Herd, in football. And I just want to hear that journey. Like, how did you end up choosing Marshall? Like, was it other schools? And also what it was like, having that good winning streak and winning the national championship there as well.
I tell these kids, man, we didn't have social media when I was growing up. There weren't smartphones. There was no Twitter, so you had to get recruited the hard way. Coaches had to physically come actually see you, or you had to mail a VHS tape to them. And so growing up in Virginia at the time, you wanted to go to either UVA or Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech was interested in me, but they were interested in me on the defensive side of the ball. And I always knew, I wanted to go to college on a scholarship, but I wanted to play running back, and I wanted that opportunity. And so my senior year, recruiter, the defensive coordinator at Marshall by the name of Mickey Matthews, he came by the school, and he had actually, they were recruiting our defensive tackle. And so I played both ways. And while they were recruiting him, they asked my coach, they said, who is this guy number 9 on defense? And the coaches happened to say, he's like a rover, but he's actually our starting running backs. He said, can I see some offense film on him? And he said he watched about 8 or 9 plays, and he said, he said, can you get the kid down here? And so they get me down into the office, man, and they told me they wanted, he basically said, I want you to bring you up on a visit. I want to show you Marshall. I've been to West Virginia. I said, I've never been. And so I went home is to show you how, like I said, how life is crazy. That weekend, my father and I were watching, flipping through the channels on ESPN, and it was the FCS playoffs were on. And the cornerback from Marshall, Melvin Cunningham, ran a 100-yard interception return. And they showed the stadium and all this snow piled up everywhere, and the fans were going crazy. And Marshall was advancing to the national championship game that year. And I was like, man, I'm looking forward to going on my visit up there. And so I get up to Marshall, and on my visit was a guy named Chad Pennington. And so Chad and we get to meet each other in high school, and a couple other guys that ended up also going to the NFL as well. It was about 11 of us on that visit, and 9 of us signed. And so, we get here, we get to Marshall, and at the time, Jim Donnan was the head coach. He left to go to Georgia. And so also we're in limbo and deciding, are we going to transfer? Are we going to stay? And Bob Pruitt comes from the University of Florida and takes over the program, man. And then Randy Moss transfers in, and the rest is history, man. We had that was our last year actually at the FCS level. We ran the table, went 15-0, blew everybody out, won the national championship, and that was my freshman year. And so it was just Marshall was already a powerhouse at the FCS level when I got here, and so we had a great nucleus of seniors that really passed the torch to myself and Rogers Beckett and John Grace and Girardi Mercer and Chad Pennington and of course Randy Moss, and we just took it and ran with it after that, man, and just really had a blessed run. I was blessed to have fantastic coaches, man, and fantastic teammates that I see today as brothers. We, when I talk to them on the phone, I'm like, man, I love you, brother. And they're like, love you too, man, when we end our phone calls. So it was a blessing for me to be chosen by Marshall. I was fortunate. And it was a blessing for me to be able to play with the guys that I did, and for us to have the type of successful run that we had here.
Well, Coach, I know everybody at Marshall glad to have you back and have all that knowledge and information you giving everybody. Now, how is it working with Coach Huff? Like, he came from, that last start was Alabama, so that's a lot of golden information he bringing. Plus, you there and everybody else that's part of the staff. Like, how is it working with him?
Man, Coach Huff is one of the most grounded people I've ever met in my entire life, man. And one thing I really appreciate about him is that when he came to Marshall from Alabama, he really bought into Marshall's story. He understood about the plane crash from 1970. He understood how the community was really rocked by that. He understood us having to rebuild the program. And then he also understood about the golden years, the years that I was here, and the years that Chad Pennington and Byron Leftwich and everybody was here. He understood, and he really respected what the history and tradition here in Huntington, and he really bought in and got involved in the community. And so I respected him as that. Sometimes you'll get a coach that comes from a program like in Alabama and comes to a group of 5 school like a Marshall, and may seem like they're better than the program. He's never done that, and he really got knee deep into what we were all about in our culture here. So, I really appreciate him. And plus, knowing his story, he's a guy from Maryland. I'm from Virginia, so our areas where we grew up are not very different. He also went to Hampton University. He played with football with a bunch of guys that I knew that I grew up with in Richmond, so we had familiarity there. And just, he was just a very personable guy when I first met him. And then when you sit down and start drawing up the X's and O's with him, man, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, the brother knows his stuff, man. He is brilliant on the board. He can dial them up, man. And he wanted to put together an offense. He said, my vision for Marshall's offense is to bring back that high-powered offense that you played on. He said, I want teams to fear that offense when we take the field. And he said, and I want a defense that gets after it. If you look at it, that's why our offense is one of the top 10 in the nation. We're tied for first in the nation in quarterback sacks. He has an aggressive play calling style, an aggressive style of play. And yeah, he was at Alabama and he was, also at Penn State, but he's also coached in the MAC. He coached at Tennessee State. He played at Hampton. So he's not one of these guys that walks in the door with a big head and thinks, hey man, I've been at these schools, so people should treat me a certain way. He's very humble, and he's a great guy to work for. I don't mind spending 12, 14 hours a day, in meetings and at practice, because it doesn't feel like you're working for a guy like him.
Now, Coach, this is my last question. That was some great information too. He played at HBCU. Now he's the head coach. at a big time university, and he sounds like he's doing a great job. And from what we see, he's doing a great job as well. Now, my last question is: there any inspiration, information that you can provide to the younger men out here who really want to be successful, not just in football, but the game of life?
Man, what I would tell them, man, is don't be afraid to stick out. Don't be afraid to shine. Don't be embarrassed to ask the question, and don't be embarrassed, man, to really, chase greatness. If you're people to follow me on Twitter, I put a little hashtag after a lot of things that I put out, because I like to tell my players every day that you have to wake up running, and every day you have to aggressively pursue greatness daily. A lot of people, you'll talk to them and they'll say they're, I'm trying to be great, I'm chasing greatness. I'm like, no, no, no. You can't just try and you can't chase. You have to aggressively pursue. Just like how in football, if you want to make a play, you can't just, I'm going to try to get out there and make that play. No, you have to be aggressive in your pursuit of making a play. You have to chase greatness the same way you do a ball carrier, or the way you track a ball in the air, or the same way you hit the hole when you're running the ball. And I try to get my kids to understand that chasing greatness and pursuing greatness aggressively doesn't just stop when you're on a football field. If you know you got a test on Friday, aggressively study for it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so Friday comes, the test is easy. Always try to get out in front of things and try new things. That's one thing that I know that helped me. And I spent 5 years in the NFL. My career was cut short by a career-ending back injury, and I never had done broadcasting before. Didn't think I could do it. Somebody gave me the opportunity, and I wasn't scared to try it. I turned it into a 10-year broadcasting career after football. And it really opened up a lot of doors for me. And I really feel like a lot of what I learned doing that got me to where I am now. And so I just try to tell our kids, man, I'm on my kids every day about thinking outside the box, be more than just athletes, never let anybody stereotype you or put you in a box. And don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, man. And whatever you do, don't just tell me you're trying to be great. They know better than to tell me they're trying to be great. They always tell me I'm aggressively pursuing greatness daily. Like I'm running it down like it owes me money. And that's the way you got to wake up and attack life every single day. Because if you don't attack life, man, I tell these young brothers, if you don't attack life, life will attack you. And I said, you got to get out in front of it. Make sure you are the one on the offense at all times. And I said, man, and there's no dream too big. I was a 6-year-old kid in Southside Richmond, Virginia, telling people I was going to the NFL. And everybody's brother laughed and told me that I need to focus on a more realistic dream. But I made it. So no dream is too big if you are aggressively pursuing it, man. And I'm on them every day. My kids will tell you, I'm on them every day, man. Chin up, head up, you know what I'm saying? Shoulders square, and attack the day. And don't let the day beat you up. So that's it. That's the advice I give my boys every day.
Hey, now that was some great information. I'm telling y'all, man, the Thunder and Her is a program y'all need to check out now. Now he putting down some great information. This is one of the greats, a legend, and he doing his thing. Now I gotta tell y'all, man, Coach Doug Chapman is a coach I would want to be talking to on a daily basis. And then the head coach, he out there handling business, doing his thing. And I also got to give a shout out to Coach Dominique Bowman,
Oh
who is the
yeah,
cornerback coach, because he
my
came on the
dog.
part. Yes,
Oh yeah,
sir.
that's my dog.
He came on the podcast as well and laid some great information about his journey. And this is a program I'm telling y'all, man, from the looks of it and the sound of it, I would love to be a part of. They got a beautiful stadium, fly uniform, top notch weight room. What else you want, baby? And a fan base that's gonna be down for you. But I'm gonna leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. It's the Life in Football podcast. Catch you next time.